Good evening, Harita. Can you hear me, Harita? Okay. No, I'm talking. Please wait. I am talking. I don't.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible now. How are you?
Fine, ma'am. How are you?
I'm fine. So you are in Chennai or anywhere else?
Chennai only, ma'am.
Okay. The school has started?
No, ma'am, we are yet to start. I guess by 8th or 9th they'll be starting.
Okay. We'll wait for 5 minutes. Nobody joined. I'm just
Yes,
waiting
ma'am.
for them. Yeah. Anyone need to still join? So how are you, all of you?
Fine, ma'am.
All of you are fine?
Yes, ma'am.
So all of you are in Chennai or went to your hometowns?
Chennai only, ma'am.
Okay. I think just still few people are there. Only these many? This is your first class or after the vacation, or you had any other class before? Huh?
Ma'am, this is our after vacation classes, ma'am.
First class, huh? That's what I'm asking. You people will be knowing, no, if anybody are there. So how you enjoyed your vacation? Not asking you all any questions. You just talk to me. Huh? Have you enjoyed your vacation?
Not much, ma'am.
Why, ma'am? You're seriously telling me now.
Yes, ma'am. We had a lot of homeworks from school, ma'am. So,
Very bad, no?
yes, ma'am.
But what to do? We need to move on with the portions also, no?
Yes, ma'am.
So that you will have sufficient time to revise. We don't know whether what will be happening. So we need to start the classes. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
So today we'll be starting off with a new chapter. All of you are fine? Just answer all of you SSSS.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. So happy to again to meet you all. So we'll be starting off with a new chapter. Before the vacation, or we have completed the first chapter, that is the life process. Actually, the second chapter should be control and coordination, but we don't know what is the what they will be doing. Last year also, in the revised syllabus, they have cut 30 to 40% syllabus, no? So they have have cut down the complete. They have removed the complete control and coordination chapter was completely removed. So we don't know. We still have no updates or anything about this current academic year. So we'll go off with the next chapter, that is how do organisms reproduce. So that will be definitely be there. So we'll finish off the chapter. If this control and coordination chapter is there, then we can move on with it. Okay. It is okay for you all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, shall we start a new chapter?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, let's respond. You people should talk, then only I can talk more. If you people are dull, I also will be teaching you all in a very dull manner. I also, yes, this is this, that is that, I can tell and close the class. All of you be active, strong.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So let open your textbooks, all of you, or otherwise listen to the class and underline properly. Start writing your running notes. We'll start off with the new chapter, that is how do organisms reproduce. So do you have any basic knowledge about this? How do organisms reproduce in your 9th class or anything? You have studied anything about it in your 9th class? Can you see my slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Did you study anything about the reproduction in your 9th class? or 8th class?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So just give me summary of what you know. Any of you, no problem. Otherwise, I'll be calling you all the names. Any of you who can give a summary of what you know previously. No need to be in a proper sentence. Just give a summary. What you know about reproduction.
There are two types of reproduction.
Yes. Speak up.
Reproduction is the process of forming a new spring from the existing one, ma'am.
Yes. And there are two ways of reproduction. Who told that? So as I have not seen, I cannot see the names. Okay. So as they told, there are two ways of reproduction. So in this chapter, we will be talking how the reproduction takes place, both in the unicellular animals and mostly about the human reproductive system. We'll be talking in detail. So we'll be talking also about the two different types of reproductions, that is asexual reproduction as well as the sexual reproduction. So in today's class, first we will be completing of the asexual reproduction. I'll see maximum to complete of the asexual reproduction. Next, we will be going on with the sexual reproduction. So first, let us see the basic introduction for this. So what you know about this? Have you seen these pictures anytime?
Yes, ma'am.
So what, wherever I'll put a laser over there. So what is this?
Human being, ma'am.
Human beings. What are human beings made up of?
Cells.
Cells.
So cells. What is a cell?
It is the basic structure and function.
The basic structure and function unit of an organism.
Yes, the basic structure and functional unit of our organism. So the organism can be a unicellular organism or it can be a multicellular organism. In case of unicellular organism means only single cell is present. Like amoeba, okay, bacteria, only one cell is there. So such organisms are known as unicellular organisms or also known as prokaryotes. Whereas multicellular organisms means many cells are present. Okay, in some animal, for example, in that also there will be variations. Okay, in some organisms only it will be up to a tissue level. In some organisms it will be up to organ level. In some organism it will be to the organ system levels. We humans are a multicellular organisms where we are having different types of organ systems like digestive system, reproductive system, circulatory system, respiratory system. So all we have studied in the life process. So for any organs or for any tissues, the basic unit is the cell. Okay, this is the cell. So whether it is a unicellular or multicellular, the basic unit is the cell. Only slight difference between a unicellular and a multicellular organisms is the cell in your multicellular organisms, or we call as eukaryotic organisms. There will be different organelles inside the cell like lysosome, vacuoles, mitochondria, chloroplast, and all those. Whereas in prokaryotic cells, mostly in the bacterial cell, there will be no such organelles. And also the nucleus, the main central part of the cell, that is the nucleus. This pink one is the nucleus. Here you can see the nucleus is surrounded by a nuclear membrane. Okay. So whereas in bacteria, that nuclear membrane will not be there. So we can see from the man, we have come to a cell, and now from the cell will be coming into the nucleus. Okay. So what does this nucleus have? So both the unicellular as well as multicellular, that is prokaryotic cells as well as eukaryotic cells have nucleus. But only difference between a prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell is prokaryotic cells. There will be no nuclear membrane surrounding in the nucleus, whereas eukaryotic cell will be having a nuclear membrane surrounding the nucleus. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
So, any doubts still here?
No, ma'am.
Remaining people are not responding. So inside this, yes, ma?
Mom, I said I don't have any doubts.
Okay. Okay, inside this nucleus is our DNA. DNA means deoxyribonucleic acid. It is nothing but a polymer of nucleotides. I'll explain you what it is in the detail. So it is like a strand. So the strand should be kept inside a small nucleus. Okay. So you know what is the size of a cell? Size of the cell? Anybody has idea? Can we see a single cell with our naked eye?
No, ma'am.
No, we cannot see. So it is in a micrometers. Means the size of the cell is in some micrometers. So inside this micrometer is another tiny nucleus. And inside this tiny nucleus is the DNA present. The DNA carries all the genes required for our metabolic activity. Okay, for expression, means for hair color, everything, genes are present in this on this DNA itself. Okay, so what is the length of the DNA? DNA is very long, very long. Okay, there is a saying that a human DNA can go around the earth twice. That much long it is. When we try straighten it like a thread, what we see, and we take it around the globe, it can go twice or thrice around the globe. So that is the length of our DNA, and that much DNA should be fitting inside the nucleus. So how the DNA will be present? They will be tightly coiled. So they will be tightly coiled with the help of proteins to form a structure known as chromosomes. So these chromosomes are nothing but the tightly coiled DNA. So it contains the DNA with the help of some proteins will be tightly coiled to form a structure known as chromosomes. So these chromosomes are present inside the nucleus. So what are the chromosomes made up of? Chromosomes are made up by DNA itself. So it's like a thread. How we have our threads in the home? How we have our threads? Can anybody tell?
Ma'am, can you repeat again, ma'am?
How we have our thread rolls, no, in the house?
Yes,
How
ma'am.
they are present?
I'm rolled, ma'am.
Oil.
They are present around like a coil. And when we open it, how much we get? We get a very long strand when we straighten it. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that much we cannot keep it properly or safely in our drawers. Whereas the roll simply we can put in a small box and keep it safely. Okay. The same way itself, the DNA is like a thread. It's like open thread. Now it will be rolled with the help of proteins to form a structure known as chromosome. This is the chromosome structure. So the chromosomes usually have 2 arms. Okay, altogether 4 arms are present. 2 arms on the one side, 2 arms on the other side. So those arms are known as chromatids, and they are held together by another one known as centromere. So this highly coiled DNA is known as the chromosome. Can you understand till here?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is how the chromosomes are present inside the nucleus. When we finally unwind, we'll get a linear or single double-stranded DNA known as deoxyribonucleic acid. So this is how they will, with the help of proteins known as histones, they will be coiled to form chromosome. So why these are important? So first, let us see what is DNA. DNA means deoxyribonucleic acid. This is the most important 1-mark answer. They'll ask you to write the full name of DNA. So what is this? DNA is also known as blueprint or the master copy. Why? Because it carries all our genetic information. All the genes required are present in the DNA itself. And this DNA passes from the parents to the offsprings. So only we'll be able to inherit the whatever the qualities we have from our parents. We can inherit whatever it is, like hair color or eye color, all these. So it's like a heredity material which is transported from the parents towards the offsprings. It contains all the genetic information. And where they are present in the chromosomes inside the nucleus of the cell. Okay, it carries all the information about our inheritance and also the information of how making the proteins, because we require proteins for functioning different metabolic activities. For example, in digestive system, you have seen many enzymes where they will be able to degrade carbohydrates, fats, and proteins to smaller substances. So all this information is carried on, whatever the enzymes that need to be synthesized, everything is carried on by this DNA itself. Do you remember all those, or everything vanished? All of you remember?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any newcomers to the class? I forgot to ask. Anybody are newcomers?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We'll soon have an exam. So DNA is like a genetic material. It is a genetic material. Okay, where it carries all the gene and where it is transformed from the parents to the offsprings. Okay, so how does this one takes place? So first, I'll show you all here. I'll put a diagram so that you can easily understand. So now if this is the cell, I'm not drawing the complete cell. I'm simply drawing the nucleus. Okay, this is the DNA. So now what will be happening? A step known as replication takes place, or DNA copying. We call it as DNA copying, where inside the cell itself, by using the parent DNA, 2 DNA will be synthesized. So when the cell breaks into 2 cells, each cell will be having its own DNA. This process of copying the DNA or duplicating the DNA is known as DNA copying, or it is also called as replication. Please remember, it is technically known as replication, but in your textbook they have written as DNA copying. You can write any of them. So the separated cells will be having their own DNA. So this is the parent, and these 2 are the offsprings, whatever we got. So the DNA is similar to the parent DNA, but not identical to the parent DNA. They are not exact copies. They are similar to the parent DNA, but not identical to the parent DNA. Please remember that. For example, all of you maybe must they have, you have been told that you're similar to your father or similar to your mother, but not alike to your father or alike. You have some features of your father, you have some features of your mother, but not identical. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. We are similar, but not identical. The offsprings are similar to their parents, but not identical to their parents. Because when DNA copying takes place, some errors are produced during the copy. Due to that errors, whatever the new offsprings will be getting, will be having slightly different DNA from that of the parent DNA. So each one have their own DNA, but they are similar, but not alike. You can see the picture over here. So this is the egg cell. So replication or DNA copying takes place. So two DNA, new DNA and the old DNA are formed. Next, the separation takes place and the new cells will be having their own DNA. Okay, hope you understood. Shall I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
So why this is important? Why DNA copying is very important, and what is the importance of the variation? So for any basic event in a reproduction, the DNA copying is very important. Okay, without DNA copying, we'll be not able to generate the new offsprings. So DNA copying also brings variations. So when the copying being taking place, there will be some errors. Okay, the error will be leading to the variation. You can see in the picture over here. So the parent is having a black head, whereas now the offsprings are having a green and a orange head. Next set of offspring, they are having some variations in their body. So this is due to errors in the DNA copy. When there is an error in a DNA copy, always this leads to the variation. Okay, and why these variations are very important? Okay, so why these variations are important? These variations are important for the survival of the species. Okay, our body design may be same, but our variations will be allow us to adapt to the surrounding environmental conditions or to the surrounding environmental inches. For example, I'll tell you, suppose now you are born in Chennai. Suddenly I'll ask you to go and live in Alaska. Can you stay in igloos? Can we go and stay there?
No, ma'am.
Whereas suddenly I bring from people from Arctic and Antarctic regions to Chennai. Can they survive here in this hot climate?
No, ma'am.
No,
But
ma'am.
but the people who are staying in Arctic and Antarctic regions are also human beings. We here, whoever we are staying also are human beings. Our body design is same. Means we have a head, our two hands, two legs, and everything, our two eyes, 2 ears, everything are there. But our bodies are designed in such a way that we will be adapting to our environmental surroundings. Okay, and these adaptations are caused due to variations. So when whatever we'll get many errors when during DNA copy. So whatever errors or whatever variations which are suitable for us for survival, for existence, those variations only will be surviving, and this is how we have evolved from the chimpanzees. So variations are the basics of evolution. They will help us to useful for the survival of the species over the time. Okay. Suppose, for example, I tell you, I'll give an example for you to understand. Suppose there is a variation. Okay. The best examples are dinosaurs. Okay. Previously, the most dominant species are the dinosaurs on the earth. All of you know that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
why they became extinct? Can you tell? Anybody has idea?
Ma'am, because an asteroid hit Earth and dinosaurs just vanished.
Amma, I cannot hear you. Be louder.
Ma'am, because an asteroid hit the Earth.
Asteroid is the Earth, but any more?
Ma'am, and then a volcano eruption.
Means they did not in the
Ma'am,
course
change
of
in
time.
climatic conditions.
Huh?
Ma'am, change in climatic
As
conditions.
change in the climatic conditions, either due to asteroid or due to volcanic eruptions, the temperatures on the Earth started to rise drastically. But their bodies were not, they did not bring out variation that will be able to sustain them in that climatic conditions. So only slowly they became extinct. But we human beings, we started slowly to evolve. For example, we have evolved from chimpanzees, but we are now the most fittest species on the earth. Why? Because we have brought variations, useful variations, where we will be able to sustain the surrounding environment and help us to live, help us to withstand the surrounding conditions and become a dominant species. So the variations can be a good variation, it can be a bad variation, but these variations are the variation that help us to the good variations, help us to adapt to the surrounding environment, whereas bad variations may not be useful for us to adapt to the surrounding environment. So these variations are the basics for the evolution, and due to these variations only new species and new organisms are produced. In a course of time, it's not a 1 day process or 2 days process. In a course of time, these variations will be leading us to form new species or new organisms. You are able to understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts still here? Any doubts? Yes. Have you copied this? This is one of the most important 3 marks question. Importance of variation. You can see the picture over here. You can see 2 ducks. One is both of them are sisters or whatever is, but one duck is in orange color, whereas other one is in the yellow. This is due to variation. So due to this variation only, we are not identical to each other. Although we are similar to our parents, but we are not identical to our parents. So you can see, even write this also. When you finish writing, please let me know. Done?
2 minutes, ma'am.
Over?
Yes, ma'am.
So what you understood from this topic? Variation, DNA copying leads to variation. Some variations may be useful, some variations may not be useful, but the useful variations may help us to survive in the changing environment, and this also may lead to the formation of new species, and this becomes the basics of evolution. Okay, so for forming DNA copying of variation, what is the first criteria? Reproduction. Without reproduction, all this cannot happen. So reproduction is the important link where the stability of the population is maintained. Without reproduction, what will happen? Can anybody tell? Just
Ma'am,
speak
that
out.
particular organism may extinct.
Yes, they'll become extinct because there will be no variations. The organism cannot survive. Okay, so it's like that, or they or due to any other physical and environmental factors also. So it becomes extinct. So only the reproduction is the important. And regarding this variations, again we'll be discussing in detail in your heredity and evolution chapter. So this is the basic introduction about the variation. Now we'll be going in detail about the main topic, that is the reproduction. Okay, so this is the definition for the reproduction. The production of new organisms from the existing organisms of the same species is called reproduction. Please write down. Please write down. I'm not going to share any PPTs. Write down. Always writing a running notes way is very, very good. Once you listen in the class, just a reading is enough for you all. So what is reproduction? The production of new organisms from the existing organisms of the same species is called reproduction. And this ensures the continuity of life on Earth. So reproduction can be, as we have discussed, based on the type of the parent on different characteristics. Reproduction can be divided into two types: asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. And this is the difference between asexual and a sexual reproduction. Please take a screenshot or please write it down. This is the most important 3 marks question. In asexual reproduction, only one parent is involved, whereas in sexual reproduction, both the parents are involved. Okay. Usually, in case of plants, asexual reproduction takes place only in unisexual plants, whereas sexual reproduction takes place in the bisexual plants. Mostly asexual reproduction takes place in the lower organisms and also in the lower plants like amoeba and also in the lower plants. Whereas sexual reproduction takes place in higher organisms, higher animals and higher plants. Best examples are human beings. So no reproductive organs are present in asexual reproduction, whereas full developed reproductive parts and organs are present in sexual reproduction. In most of the asexual reproduction, the original parent disappears. because one cell will be giving rise to two cells. So the original parent disappears. Whereas in the sexual reproduction, the original parents remain alive even after the process of reproduction. No gametes or fertilization process does not take place in asexual reproduction. Whereas fertilization, fusion of the gametes, and formation of zygote takes place in sexual reproduction. So only characteristics of one parent are inherited, means almost they are identical to their parents because there is no fusion of gametes or no formation of zygote. But here, both in sexual reproduction, both the parents are inherited and they are similar to their parents but not identical to their parents. In case of plants which are undergoing asexual reproduction, no seeds are formed. Whereas in case of sexual reproduction in plants, seeds are formed which are undergoing sexual reproduction. So this is the basic difference between a asexual reproduction and a sexual reproduction. Now we'll be discussing in detail both the asexual as well as the sexual reproduction. Shall I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you all of you copied?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now coming to the asexual. What is asexual reproduction? Can one of you tell me? What is asexual reproduction? Aditi? Aditi? Please switch on
Ma'am,
your
can you
mic.
hear me now, ma'am?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you tell me what is asexual reproduction?
Ma'am, it is a type of reproduction in which only a single parent is involved.
I cannot hear you, ma.
Ma'am, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Ma'am, it is a type of reproduction in which only a single parent is involved.
Yes, a single parent is involved. Any more points? Anybody can add? Akshita,
Yes, ma'am.
can you add more points to it?
It takes place in unicellular organisms.
Huh? What, ma?
It takes place in unicellular organisms.
Yes, it takes place in unicellular organisms and also lower plants. Please remember. Okay. Any more?
Reproductive organs are not present.
Huh?
Reproductive organs are not present.
Yes, reproductive organs are not present. Any more? Arman? Any more points?
Ma'am, processes like gamete formation and fertilization
Does not exist. Okay. No fertilization or gamete formation or zygote formation does not exist in asexual reproduction. So now, yes, ma?
Ma'am, the offsprings are genetically and physically identical to the parent.
Yes. We cannot tell physically because mostly we don't see them almost with our naked eye. But okay, we can tell morphologically, not physically. Okay. That is the correct term. Morphologically and genetically identical to the parents. Yes. So coming to the, now we'll be talking about the asexual how the asexual reproduction takes place in the plants, or different types of asexual, not only plants, animals also, different types of asexual reproductions in the lower organisms and the plants. So there are different types. First one is fusion, fragmentation, regeneration, budding, spore formation, and vegetative propagation. So these are the 6 different methods where the asexual reproduction takes place. First, we'll be starting off with the fission. So what is fission means? Breaking or breaking of the cell into 2 parts. So fission again is divided into 2 types: binary fission and multiple fission. Binary fission mostly takes place in the amoeba. So you can see here, amoeba is a unicellular organism. It does not have any definite shape. Okay, no definite shape is present. So what happens is, first the amoeba cell, it takes place in 4 stages. First, the amoeba cells grows in size. Then the nucleus present in the amoeba cells divides into 2 parts. Next, the cell also will be divided into 2 parts, and finally we get 2 daughter cells. This type of a division is known as binary fission. Okay, it takes place in 4 steps. You will be now also be writing. This is again a most important 3 marks question, and also in your records also you will be writing about this. So I mean, as Harita, binary fission will be producing 2 daughter cells. So amoeba, again I'm repeating, amoeba is a unicellular and does not have a definite shape. Okay, it does not have a definite shape. It is in the shape always goes on changing. First grows in the cells, grows in maximum size. After the cells goes into the maximum size, the second step is the nucleus is divided into 2. Further followed by division of the cytoplasm into 2. Finally, with the breaking of cytoplasm and cell membranes, we call it as cytokinesis, will be broken into, leading to the formation of 2 daughter cells. So the best example for binary fission are amoeba, paramecium, and leishmania, and some bacteria. So a slight difference is present between amoeba and leishmania. In case of leishmania, the cell will be in this way. The cell will be in this way. So and it has a definite shape. So the division will be taking place in a longitudinal direction. Understood? In case of amoeba, the division can take place in this manner or in this manner, whatever it is, because it does not have any definite shape. Whereas leishmania, as I have drawn, it has a definite shape in this way. Along with flagella, they also have flagella. So all the fission will be only longitudinal. Only it will be divided into 2 equal parts in a longitudinal manner. Means in a straight. It will be opened into 2. Understood? Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, what is flagella, ma'am?
Flagella means a thread-like structure. Some organisms have thread-like structures present on their surface, which helps them for locomotion.
Okay, ma'am.
I think so. You have studied in 9th class. It's there. Please remember. Understood? So that is the slight difference we have from amoeba to leishmania in case of binary fission. Now we'll go to multiple fission. In case of multiple fission, the parent organisms will be rupturing and giving to many new organisms at a single time itself, at the same time itself. Means always it will not be dividing into these two cells. All the once at a time itself, many daughter cells will be coming out. This takes place in plasmodium. Multiple fission takes place in the plasmodium. How it takes place is, so some organisms during unfavorable condition, a cyst or a protective wall is formed around the cell of the plasmodium. So inside the cyst, the nucleus will be splitting into several times to form daughter nuclei. You can see over here. So this is the first cell, which is having a single nucleus. So during unfavorable condition, when the conditions are not favorable or something, the nucleus will be go on dividing to form multiple nucleus inside the same cell itself. Then the cytoplasm will be collected around the nucleus, and so many daughter cells will be started to form. As the conditions become favorable, now the cyst breaks and all the daughter cells will be released outside. So each cell will be generating to a new organism. So this is the how the multiple fission takes place in the plasmodium. Since all of the organisms are coming out at a time, this is known as the multiple fission. Please draw this diagram also, because it's not available in only the last the part is available in the textbook, whereas the new this first 2 and 3 are not present. Please draw the diagram so that it will be easy for you all to understand. Any doubts still here? No need to write the sigmoid or merozoites. No need of that much detail. But you simply
what is
write
a cyst,
daughter
ma'am?
cells. Huh?
Ma'am, what is a cyst?
Cyst means, now this is the whole organism. This is a plasmodium. Okay. Yeah, around the plasmodium, a protective layer is formed during unfavorable conditions. Such a cell is known as cyst.
Okay, ma'am.
This is known as the cyst. This completely now, because it is having a protective layer, with so many daughter nuclei, it is known as the cyst.
Okay, ma'am.
Can I move on?
1 minute, ma'am.
Yeah, please.
Completed, ma'am.
Okay. So the next type of asexual reproduction is budding. You can see the picture. The best example for asexual budding is hydra. Okay. So this is the pair. This is how the hydra looks like. It has this is the body of the hydra. On the head, they have a small hair-like structures, which we call it as the tentacles. So a small, in the second stage, a small bud is formed on the side of the like it's like an outgrowth. A small outgrowth is formed, and this outgrowth is known as the bud. Is formed on the parent hydra. The bud grows into a size, and also the bud will be having its own tentacles. At this point, the bud will be cleaved out from the parent cell, and the new one will be going into a the bud will be developing into a new separate organism. So this process, this is known as the this type of asexual reproduction is known as a budding. Best examples are Hydra as well as the yeast. 1 minute, I have yeast. No. Please draw the yeast also the same way as Hydra. This is also a most important 3 marks question. So this is the parent yeast cell. The parent yeast cell, first a small bud is formed. Next, the bud, in the third stage, the bud grows in size, having its own nucleus and cytoplasm also. Now the bud detaches from the parent cell and develops as a new organism. So this is the parent. Whereas the small cell is the bud, which will be developing into a new organism. New offspring. Okay, please draw this diagram also. I forgot to keep it. So this process is known as budding. Best examples are the Hydra and yeast. So all these asexual reproduction are the 3 marks question. You need to write it how it takes place, give an example, write the process and put the diagram. For everything you need to put a diagram. Same way how I have written for Hydra, how the budding takes place, please write it for the yeast also in the same way as I told. So in Hydra, a small bud is formed on the site of the body by repeated mitotic division of the cell. Then the bud gradually develops its own mouth and tentacles. Then the tiny new Hydra detaches itself from the parent and lives as a separate organism. And this one is for the yeast. Over?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I move on next? So the next type of a sexual reproduction is spore formation. Okay, this one is mostly, this type of asexual reproduction mostly takes place in fungi. Best example for fungi is Rhizopus or bread mold, or in mucor, bacteria, non-flowering plants, ferns and mosses. So how many of you seen any thread-like structures on the bread? Anybody have seen it? Yes? Answer me. Are you there, all of you?
Yes.
Any of you have seen a spoiled bread?
Yes, ma'am.
How many of you seen? Just switch on your mute and on your mute and close it so that I'll know.
Yes, ma'am.
Remaining have not seen. So how many have bread in your home today? Anybody is having bread? One slice of bread. Nobody is having bread at home. Nobody knows whether you have it or not also. Huh?
I don't have, ma'am.
Tomorrow morning you can go and get it from nearby shop, any. Okay, leave it. When the lockdown is open, okay, when the lockdown is relaxed, you do your activity at the home and also show me that activity. Okay, you just leave your bread to open air, one slice of bread, open air, in the open air for 2 or 3 days and observe what is formed. You'll see a black truck, a black mass or thread-like structure is formed on the bread. Have you seen? Whoever have seen? We call it bread spoilage because that is a fungus. That is mainly the common bread mold, or we call it as a rhizopus. That fungus is known as rhizopus. So this this spoils our bread. So how does the structure of this rhizopus looks like is, when we see it under the microscope, this rhizopus looks like this. The fine thread-like structures look like this. So these rhizopus have a thread-like structures known as hyphae. The stem is known as the hyphae. And on the top of this hyphae, there will be a knob-like structures known as sporangium. Okay, and these sporangium are filled with hundreds of microscopic reproductive units known as spores. These are hundreds of them will be present, and these are known as the spores. So when this sporangium bursts, or the spore case bursts, the spores will be dispersed into the air. And when the spores gets dispersed in the air and falls on a land or on a foot or on whatever soil, under favorable condition, each spore germinates into a new plant or new sporangium. Understood? Again, I'm repeating. The best example for the spore formation is rhizopus. You can write the other examples also. This rhizopus is nothing commonly known as bread mold. Okay, if our bread gets spoiled, we can see it with our visual eyes. A small thread, black thread or green thread-like structures will be formed on the bread. That is nothing but the rhizopus. When we keep it under the microscope, the rhizopus looks like this. Okay, so the rhizopus have a thread-like structures, which we call it as a stem or hyphae. On the top of this hyphae is a knob-like structure known as sporangium, and the sporangium is filled with many spores. Okay, spores. So once the sporangium bursts, the spores are released into the air. The spores will be falling on the food or soil or land or whatever it is. Under favorable condition, each spore, if these are the spores, each spore will be giving rise to a new plant or new sporangium. So what are these spores? Spores are the hard protein coated materials where they can survive under the unfavorable conditions. Okay, once they burst and fall on the, if this now I'll draw it here, you can see. Now you think this is the sporangium. Filled with so many pores. Now it has bursted and spores have released out. Now these spores come and fall on the soil. You think this is the soil. But the conditions are not favorable for it. Means it does not have proper water or food or other temperature is not favorable for its growth. But it can be sustained because the spores are covered by a hard protective coat which enables them to survive these unfavorable conditions. Only on favorable conditions, these spores will be giving rise to the new plant or new organism. So see how favorable are this spore formation. So under unfavorable conditions, the organism will not be able to die. They can be sustained, and on favorable condition, new organisms can be produced due to spores formation. So this spore formation is also one type of asexual reproduction. And please write down this answer. This has been repeatedly asked for you all in your board exams. How will an organism benefit if it reproduces through spores? The reproduction by spores takes place in plants. Spores are covered by a hard protective coat which enables them to survive under unfavorable conditions like lack of food, lack of water, extreme temperature. But when the conditions become favorable, the spores can grow to produce new plants. Thus, the reproduction by spore benefits the plant because by surviving under adverse conditions, the spores makes these plants live forever. Please write down. This is the most important 3 marks. Because it is difficult to write, I have given the answer also. Yes, Harita, the spores are like a seed, but with we cannot call them as seed because they are usually from the fungus. Rhizopus is a fungus. Okay, we cannot call them as seeds. They are like seeds. Have you finished, all of you?
Ma'am, I didn't understand in that question, ma'am, how will an organism benefited if it is reproduced through spores, ma'am? I didn't understand the last line, ma'am.
Last line means how is organism able, because the spores can withstand the adverse conditions. They
Yes,
can
ma'am.
sustain, they are not going to die. They can sustain those adverse conditions, that is lack of food or water or anything. So they become useful for the plant for the reproduction and make the plant live forever.
Okay, ma'am.
So when there is adverse conditions also, the plant is not going to die because it already has spores are, the main plant may die, but again the spores may be giving rise to the new plant.
Okay, ma'am.
That's why that's why when we keep our food or bread, simply bread is easy thing, so and it is clearly visible on the bread. I'm telling you all bread. Also on the food also we can see this fungal formation. Simply when we keep the food open for 2 or 3 days, we can simply see the fungal formation because already the spores will be present in air or on our whatever our kitchen cabinets or tables or whatever it is. Because the bread contains the nutrients, moisture, everything it requires. So once they come in contact with it, the germination takes place and also causes the bread spoilage.
Okay, ma'am.
Shall I move on? Yes. Can I move on? Tell me, yaar.
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Next is the regeneration. Next type of asexual reproduction is regeneration. Okay, the process of getting back of full organism from its parts is known as regeneration. The best example is planaria, or we call it as also the flatworm. This regeneration takes place both in Hydra as well as planaria. You can see the figure over here. If the planaria by accidentally or by any other means, if it's cut into 3 parts or more, 2 or 3 parts, each part gives rise to its new organism. In the same way in the Hydra also, if it's by accidentally or by any other means, if it is broken into different parts, each part can give rise to a new organism. This is called as regeneration process. So what happens in the regeneration process is, if the body of the planaria gets cut into number of pieces, each piece can regenerate into complete planaria. It occurs by the process of growth and development. The cells of the cut part again divide rapidly to make a ball of cells, and these cells present in the ball of cell move to the proper portion and various organs and parts of the bodies are formed. So this type of asexual reproduction takes place in Hydra and planaria. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I move on? Shall I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
So based on this, usually you get this question also. Like a logic question, it was asked many times on the board. It's a logic reasoning question. Why multicellular organisms cannot show the power of regeneration? Only why it is seen only in the unicellular organisms. Okay, or why only unicellular organisms can undergo regeneration, whereas multicellular organisms cannot undergo regeneration? Because multicellular organisms have specialized cells, that is, they are made up of tissues, organ systems, and a complete organism. Means we have many cells, tissues, organs, and organs. So due to this high degree of organization in the body, we cannot go for any type of regeneration. Only this takes place only because the unicellular organisms have a simple body. Each part can, that too only in few organisms, each part can give rise to a new organism. Next one is fragmentation. With this, I'll stop the class for today. Let us finish the fragmentation. The next type of asexual reproduction is fragmentation. And this is mostly seen in Spirogyra or green filamentous algae. Spirogyra is nothing but a green filamentous algae. So Spirogyra is a simple multicellular organism. It's not a unicellular organism. It is simple multicellular organisms. So when this simple multicellular organism breaks into two parts, each part can give rise to a subsequently gives rise to a complete new organism. So this fragmentation is it's similar to regeneration. Regeneration mostly takes place only in unicellular. This is a fragmentation which takes place in simple multicellular organisms. The best example is Spirogyra or green filament, or it is nothing but a green filamentous algae. So when the main organism is divided into 2 or 3 parts or fragmented into 2 or more parts, each fragment matures itself and gives rise to a new Spirogyra or new organism. So what till now we have studied the 5 asexual methods. All these 5 asexual methods mostly takes place in the lower unicellular organisms itself. Okay. Next method is the vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation. This takes place in the plants. So this will be talking in the next class. Okay. Any of you have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Have you all of you finished your assignment for the holidays we have given?
Yes, ma'am.
All of you have submitted?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the next class will continue with the vegetative propagation and also see the activities. Okay. With this, I'm concluding the class. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.